Can I just say that when IDW, along with Hasbro, well, can I say this? We all know that when comic book adaptations of a toy franchise or a show based on toys, it's just a good show in general, comes out, we know there's a chance that the comic book adaptation could be worse than the show, or better, or just about average. Well, in the case of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, the comic, in a sense, is kind of on the same level as the show, but it's kind of a little edgier too. What I mean is, the comic is not restrained by that whole EI factor. It's not restrained by, oh, you gotta have some educational moments in here. You gotta be EI. You gotta be educational. You gotta be this. You gotta be that. But the comic is almost free to be its own thing, in a sense. And it doesn't matter if it's the Friends Forever spinoff. It doesn't matter or it doesn't matter if it's the main comic itself. The comic has an opportunity to be more than just what more than just what the show can be. I mean, I'm not saying the show can't be just as good. The show has proven over the past 7 years, 7 seasons, 7th season being the current one, but it's proven during that time that it can be more than just a show that has to have educational values in between or at the end. That it can be just more than that. There have been several episodes, if not season finales, if not season premieres, that have had that Y7 rating on top of it, instead of the traditional Y rating. And why? Because the creators knew that those episodes may have had educational value to them in some way, but they were beyond what the required Y rating was, because they would have elements in there that only someone 7 and above, if not above 7 years of age, would understand or would get. And when I look at the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic comic book, and I look at maybe the Friends Forever spinoff, I see potentially not a Y rating. I don't see a Y rating comic or an E rated comic or K rated comic. I see basically a Y7 comic. I see a comic that goes beyond what it's initiated for, not initiated, but goes beyond what's originally intended for at times from a story capacity. One of the stories in here, in fact it's the very first story, Ponies of Darkwater, which is a play on the Pirates of Darkwater's cartoon title, really is very good, in my opinion. It's really very good because because this is a story that I don't think honestly you would see on the show. I mean, I'm not saying, again, they haven't done anything to this level, but there are just moments in here, especially like towards the end of it, that are just tremendous, that just will go over the top of somebody, but for some reason you don't see the cartoon show tackling. Like the end here, let me put it to you like this, the ending here is really good. What Luna says at the end here is like this. Luna basically tells them tells them that the friendship was going to see them through the whole ordeal that they've gone through in the story. I'm not going to give much away. I'm not going to give anything away, but you have to read the story to really get a kick out of it, because when I did a package opening involving with this comic being with this graphic novel being one of the comics I got, one of the things I got stuck reading this story throughout that package opening. I didn't read it, but I basically became asphyxiated. I became asphyxiated with the story. I became involved in the story, in its concept. Well, not concept, but basically the way it's presented. It really caught me, is what it did. It really catch my eye. It really got me invested. And that's one thing that that's one thing that no other, that besides the Sonic comics and maybe, you know, several Marvel and DC comics have done. And that was my dog scratching herself. She's okay. She's fine. Fine. But anyway, what it's done basically is, when I was doing that package opening, you can see it here on YouTube, is it basically put me, I basically became so I basically became so involved in the story that I had to apologize several times for being such. But what I'm getting at is the message at the end. What Luna says at the end is, she says, friendship, which fortunately was okay. This is what Luna says at the end. She says she believes that the friendship will get them through this ordeal. Friendship, she says, which fortunately was disrupted by the evil water. And Fluttershy wants to know what she means by fortunately, and Luna says, because if the 6 of them had been evil and worked together, she believes there is no doubt they would have been unstoppable. So in other words, that's something that we don't get, that we're not getting that we don't get to hear, that we've never heard in any of the poignant episodes. You know, poignant episodes being like the season finales or premieres. You know, we've never heard a character like Luna or Celestia come up to the ponies after something like this has happened and said, yes, if this has happened to you, or if you had stuck together when this happened, you would have been unstoppable. Basically, she's saying that not even she or even Celestria or even Cadence would be able to stop them. Nobody would have, if they had worked together. So to me, that's what makes the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic comics maybe a slight better than the cartoon. Not saying the cartoon, don't get me wrong, the cartoon is good. The cartoon is good. It wouldn't lasted as long as it's lasted. It is good. And it's proven that it can go beyond its regular requirements. It has proven that. But what I'm getting at is just that one panel. In fact, I'll show you it. And again, I don't want to give much away. But right here, if you can see that, let me see if I can get that for you. But look what she says. This is what Luna says right there. And look what Fluttershy asks. And then this is what Luna says right there at the end of the issue. See what I'm saying? She's basically telling them that not even Celestia or herself or even Cadence or anybody would be able to stop them. had they worked together while under the influence of the water, of the corrupted water. So, to me, again, I think the biggest difference and the edge the comic has, because it doesn't have the restraints of an educational, it doesn't have the restraints of, an educational requirement holding it down. Is it can go beyond sometimes what the cartoon is capable of, and give you messages like that at the end. Basically, the ending of this issue, it's not a happy-go-lucky ending at times. It's more of a bittersweet ending. You don't have laughing or anything at the end. You basically have straight up a bittersweet ending. In other words, more of a warning of, if you guys work to get, basically a warning of, had they worked together while corrupted, nobody would be safe. Nothing would stop them. And that's a bit of that's either like foreshadowing or a warning of, if this happens to you again and you work together, that if it happens to them again and they work together, there's nothing that can stop them. In other words, this doesn't give you sometimes the happy-go-lucky ending that you would expect at the end of a cartoon. It gives you more of a, kind of like more of a bittersweet ending, more of like, more of an intriguing ending. Like, you want to know. Basically, it makes you ask the question. It gets you intrigued to ask the question: Is Luna foreshadowing what could be? Is the comic foreshadowing what could be, or what possibly, or what could be, or what will be, or what if, or more of a what if, or what, basically, it's the comic foreshadowing a what if scenario, or a what could be scenario, or what will be scenario. It makes you intrigued by that. So, to me, the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic comics, especially with stories like Ponies of Darkwater, really show that, the cartoon can do what the comic has done, but the comic has a little bit more of an edge sometimes over the cartoon. And the cartoon, I believe, the creators can learn from this. They need to learn from this. That, you may have to answer to EI restraints, but you can go beyond this. You can go just once in a while, go beyond that. You've proven it a few times already in season finales. You can prove it again here. So, you can prove it again. Just take a page out of the book, out of the comic, if you know what I mean. So, to me, the MLP FIM comics, as the title says, have an edge over the MLP FIM cartoon, and that's, in my opinion, Ponies of Darkwater, especially the ending, is a reason why that is. So, let me know what you guys think. Comment below, and I'll talk to you later.